between 2000 and 2008 off the issue of high-interest subprime loans to low-income borrowers and the sale of the securities to Wall Street banks, which sold them on as collateralized debt obligations. He also sold 10 million of his own stocks in Countrywide just before the company's collapse, while telling other company shareholders that the company was healthy. The Justice Department says that this is not criminal. Isn't the word criminal being redefined here? Who is in charge, the financial sector or the government?
Well, financial crime has been decriminalized, basically, for two reasons. In order to prosecute a crime, there not only has to be a crime, you need prosecutors and you need investigators. Under Bush and Obama, the staffing of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the FBI, and other criminal agencies has been cut so much that there are no lawyers, no investigators to actually do the research to prosecute. And essentially, the only person that's been arrested is Bernie Madoff, who walked into the police headquarters and said he surrenders. Nobody else has been sent to jail. And my University of Missouri, Kansas City colleague, William Black, has written very extensively on this on the UMKC economics blog and on all of his columns. He was the prosecutor under the savings and loan scandal in the 1980s, and it's just amazing. You can read Naked Capitalism, for instance, Eve Smith's site, for a listing of the crimes. You can read the UMKC blog. It's obvious how much crime has occurred, but nobody's going to be sent to jail. And even all of the settlements by the SEC have been made without acknowledging any criminal wrongdoing, just to make sure that in civil trials, the victims are not able to recover from the fraudsters. The real aim of not prosecuting is not to let any criminal prosecution be used in a civil case to make people like Mazzillo pay back the money that they've got. If they can say, look, we didn't do a crime, then it'll be much harder for a class action suit for the victims of their crime to make any claim because the government is simply not supporting them.
That's a good point. If they're not prosecuted, then how can anyone go after them?
That's right. And as Balzac said, behind every great family fortune is a great crime, often unforgotten. And economics should begin with that. You'd think economic textbooks would have Economics 101. The first class would be on crime, because that's what pays more than anything else. That's what pays even faster than finance. And yet they don't talk about crime there, and it doesn't even occur in the national income accounts as a service. Of course, a service are things like your money or your life. They provide as much of a service as finance, real estate, or health insurance.
U.S. corporate profits are at record levels. They grew 27% in the fourth quarter of 2010, while sales have declined for the second year in a row. The discrepancy between profits and revenues is due, evidently, to the fact that the recovery is built on layoffs and speed up. U.S. corporations have stockpiled huge sums of cash, $1.93 trillion in December, with which they are buying back their own stock to pump up stock prices and enrich the executives who hold the stock. They are not reinvesting profits in new productive activity or jobs. Please explain this corporate strategy. It seems as if the corporations are acting self-destructively. How can such a policy lead to long-term profitability?
You're very confused when you read that. First of all, you're pretending that corporate profits are made by producing goods and services. 40% of the corporate profits that you're talking about are made by the financial sector, and another large portion by real estate and insurance. These are not sectors that produce goods and services. They're not sectors that necessarily employ people. So the idea that you make profits by employing people is not a contradiction at all. Finance doesn't make its profits by employing people. It makes what used to be called capital gains. And essentially makes money by speculation. The fire sector is not part of the real economy. The fire sector, finance, insurance, and real estate, is a form of economic overhead and is purely extractive. So it doesn't make profits in the way that industrial companies make a profit. And whatever you were reading from doesn't acknowledge the fact that there are two kinds of corporations: fire sector corporations and industrial manufacturing corporations.
Well, exactly. And it's the fire sector that's making all the money, right?
That's right. So it's an oxymoron, or it's a non sequitur, to say that there's some contradiction between this and the form of layoffs. The financial sector makes its profits by creating the kind of rip-off economy that causes the layoffs to be made. It's perfectly natural, perfectly explainable for anybody who has a more cynical view of how the world economy works.
Despite claims of recovery and improving employment prospects, the situation for working people in the U.S. is really increasingly dire. The Obama administration is proposing cuts to the federal budget for social expenditures over the next 10 years, while prices of gasoline and food are rising. Massive layoffs continue, foreclosures and bankruptcies keep increasing, and home values continue to fall. At the same time, the Fed is pursuing a policy of massive quantitative easing, which allows Wall Street speculation to carry on unchanged and drives the value of the dollar down. Will we be seeing scenes like those in Tahrir Square across the U.S.?
No. I don't think there'll be a revolution here. People will just suffer more and more. It'll be like England. And in England, people just got poor decade after decade, and they wouldn't invite friends over for dinner because they couldn't afford to serve meat, and things went down and down. And as long as you can convince people that all this poverty, although it's needless, is really part of economic nature, they'll be satisfied. And although all of the $600 billion in quantitative easing has gone abroad, mainly to the BRIC countries, it hasn't driven down the dollar because Europe and England are in just as bad straits. So you have all of the financial centers of the world, America, Europe, and England, all going down simultaneously. The illusion is that everything is stable.
How do you explain the strength of the euro vis-a-vis the dollar?
It's not strong. It's going down because there was a slight increase in the exchange rate because of the quantitative easing, which led to money going out via England to other countries, but they're all going down together, basically.
Long term, which currency do you think will devalue more, the euro or the dollar?
There's no way of knowing. They're both so badly run that it's a competitive self-destruction.
So the quantitative easing and those dollars have all fled to the BRIC countries for investment, huh?
That's where they're trying to go.
Michael Hudson, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that the economic textbooks have a myth that wealth is gained productively by investing in capital goods and hiring labor. Obviously, what we're talking about today, neoliberalism and financial wealth, isn't caused that way. It doesn't make profits by employing labor. It makes profits by grabbing assets and essentially privatizing the public domain. If you're talking about making money by theft, the biggest source of property and enterprise is still the public sector, roads, utilities, infrastructure, and that's what the financial sector is grabbing now. We're in an asset grab phase, and in the past you needed military armies to do this. Today all you need is finance.
And to close, how would you describe what the United States is going to look like in 5 years, let's say?
Probably much poorer with dismantled state and local government, with economic planning centered in the banks of Wall Street and the large insurance companies in the financial centers, not in Washington.
Michael Hudson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
Something happening here. Yeah. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there.
I've been speaking with Dr. Michael Hudson. Today's show has been The View from Europe. Dr. Hudson is a financial economist and historian. He is president of the Institute for the Study of Long-Term Economic Trend, a Wall Street financial analyst, and distinguished research professor of economics at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. His 1972 book, Super Imperialism, The Economic Strategy of American Empire, is a critique of how the United States exploited foreign economies through the IMF and World Bank. He is also author of Trade, Development, and Foreign Debt, and Global Fracture, The New International Economic Order, among many others. Dr. Hudson has been a consultant to foreign governments, including Canada, Mexico, and Russia. Visit his website at www.michael-hudson.com.